Okay, so in the last video, what we have seen, how we are going to create the workspace and how we are going to create the collections and how we are going to create the requests. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I'll give you a quick recap of what we have seen. So if you wanted to create a workspace, you can go ahead and create a workspace here, create by clicking on this button, or else you can go to file and then you can click on new and then you can click on workspace, and also you will have another option called click new and then click on workspace. So similarly, if you wanted to create your collection also, you can go to file and click on new and then create collection, and also you can create the HTTP request, or also you can go to this plus button and create a new collection, and also for creating the request you can click on this plus button, also you can create the request. So this is how there are three different ways where you can create the workspace, collection, and then the HTTP request. So let me create a new project, workspace, create workspace, and then select the blank and click on next, and then I'm writing it as demo API and then click on create. So earlier you might have seen only me. Now I'm selecting the another option, internal. So only me, it will be applicable to you. If at all you wanted to create a group of your internal team and share it with them, these APIs, then you can go with internal. Click on create. Once the workspace is created, I wanted to create a collection. So click on this, uh, go to the workspace demo API and then click on create new collection, blank collection, and then I'm giving as API project. Okay, I'm simply giving it as API project collection. Okay, this is my collection. And after this, what I wanted to do is I wanted to create a new request. Before that, I will show you how the API test cases will look like. So this is a template where I've just taken the request response which we have seen, the same API example, and before that, first understand the test case template. This is how the API test case template will look like. So most of the fields are similar like your manual test case template. So if you see, there is a test case ID which talks about what is the test case number, and then test case description. For example, first one, verify get method for users. That means you are trying to verify the get request, and endpoint URL. So this is where you will understand what is the URL you are going to check. So the API URL, the API will be provided endpoint URL, and that will be your input. And then what method you are going to test, get method, and request headers. So this topic we will discuss separately. So here they might ask you to check the header validation, and also authentications also they may ask you to test it, but for now, so you don't focus on this particular request header column and move on to the next one, request body. So whenever you're trying to test this API, so request body, whether the request body is required. If it is not required, none. If it is required, you have to provide the body. And then what is the expected result? So if at all you hit this get request properly, 200, okay, and then you need to get all the list of users. And if at all you are able to post the request with the parameters name and job, and then 201 created message should come with the user data with the ID. And if at all you wanted to modify something, you are going to use put request, and then you will modify whatever the ID you want to modify, you will give that ID, and then you will update the put request and then do that. And finally, you are going to delete that request by providing the ID number. So how we are going to do as part of our project? So let's say, since we are doing it first time, I'm going with a simple generic example, and after that we will do a real-time project example also at the end of all the topics. Now what I'm going to do is go back and add a request, and I will make it with the test case name. So let me take the test case name TC01. So TC01. 01 and then get request. And now I will go back and copy the endpoint, put it here, and then you no need to pass any parameters because it is a get request, and click on send. Then automatically you will be able to see in the response 200 OK message has come, and then how much time it has taken, and milliseconds, and what is the size of the response also it has provided. And here you have headers, and you have cookies, and you have the response in the body section. So for now, we are focusing on only on the body, what is the response it is provided, and then what is the status code, what is the response code, 200 OK message has come. So now this test is passed. What I'm going to do, I'll go back and then I will write as, so 200 OK, all the users listed. That means your test is pass. So this is how you are going to do the execution as part of your manual API test cases. Now what I wanted to do is I wanted to do the second test case. So I wanted to save this request and then I wanted to create another new request which is for post. Add a request and then select it as post, and then you make this test case number 2 post request, and then give that, and you need to have the, and the body you have to provide the request body. Okay, so copy this and take this, and if you wanted to change, let us say I wanted to change it to some other name, Ajay, and then I wanted to make him as tester. So let's copy paste the same thing in your test case for your reference. And now what I'm going to do is I wanted to click on send button. See, once I click on send button, I should be able to see the response, name and job, whatever you have created, and with the ID, it is created, right? With today's timestamp, it is created. So now what I am going to do is, I'm going to copy this response and take it for my future reference. Go here, and then you are going to write the response here, and then write the response, and then this is just for your reference purpose we are going to make use, and then I'm going to make the status as pass. So now you see here there is a ID which is created. Now what I wanted to do is I wanted to update, that is use put request using with this ID. So what is that ID? 348. So I'll take it as 348 and I'm going to update, right? What I'm going to do is go back and then create a new request, add a request and give it as put, and then provide the URL, and then you have the URL with the recently created ID, and then give that, and then what you wanted to do is you have to provide the update, what you wanted to update. So this is your request body. What I wanted to do is I wanted to change the name and job to Rajesh and the job to manager. Okay, and now once you click on send button, automatically you will see that is updated and you got 200 OK message. So what you have to do is you have to go here and you will be writing it as pass, and then you are going to copy the response here. Okay, so you have to make sure that what response you have received as part of your validations, and also you will say that, so here it is 200 OK, and I'm going to say 200 OK message has come, right? So 200 OK, and the previous one is 201, right? 201 created, and this one is 200 OK. 200. Okay. So you can go back and see if at all you wanted to see the previous one. See, previous one 201 created. So the same thing I have written here. Okay. So now what we have done, so we have updated the request, and finally I wanted to delete the same request. Okay. Let's copy paste the same thing. That is my next test case. Go here and then, so before that we will change this test case name TC03 put request and then save it. And the last one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add one more request, that is TC04 and then delete request. And then I'm going to make it as delete and then give that, and then now click on, you no need to have any request body here, right? So you just give that ID, whatever is created, and click on send button. So what will happen? So you will get 204 no content. So the same thing is as expected. What we are going to do is you are going to copy paste the same thing and say that your test is pass. So your expected result and actual results both are equal, then only you will say that your test is pass. So this is how you will be able to validate your request and response, right? So what we have done, we have created the workspace and we have created the collection. Under that, all the tests, whatever you have, you are going to create the get request, post request, put request, and then delete request. And then you are going to validate all these things. What are all the things you have validated so far? So you have validated the response codes, that is your 200 and 201 response codes you have validated. And also you have so many other validations you are going to do, header validations you are going to do, and then you are going to validate the cookies, and also you are going to validate the response body we have done, right? So there are so many things. And also you are going to performance, right? Performance. What do you mean by performance? How much time the API responded. And also you are going to see the response size. You have just seen what is the size of this response. So like that you will have so many validations, right? Data, schema, structure, and also you will be checking the performance of the API, and mostly you are going to do the functional validation. Functional validation. That means whether the functionality is working properly or not. That we call it as business functionality. So what is that and how we are going to do all those things we are going to see as part of our subsequent videos. So at this point of time we are using the sample API which is already available, but once we understand all the concepts, then we will go ahead and understand all the various real-time examples of APIs, and also we are going to create our own APIs and test them as well. And also if you see, there are certain HTTP status codes also you need to understand, and generally these are very important, where you may get some questions in the interview. What is the uh, if you look at here, so this is we call it as HTTP series. This is 1XX, that is 100 series, and the second one is 200 series, and the next one is 300 series, and the next one is 400 series, and then 500 series. Okay. So mostly people will ask you some of the generic questions, right? If you see 200 series, it is all about successful messages. 200 is whenever you get and you put and then you delete, the 200 series will provide you OK message, right? For 204 is also success message. Delete, we have seen this. And 201 is for post. And 200 is for your get. So like that, there are so many various codes under HTTP requests. There are various requests under 200 series. Similarly, 300. So 300 series redirection. What is this? We will see later. And if you look at client error, if at all the error is from the client side, that means where you are performing the operation. That means whenever you are trying to give something in the body and you are trying to hit the postman by clicking on this button, if you are doing some mistake, that we call it as client error. So in that case you may have bad request or unauthorized or payment required, like there are so many errors. We will come to know all of them, and we use very few of them in the real time. Okay, whatever is as per your project, and whatever your project requires, those errors we will see. That means all these errors are available according to that situation. Okay, so 500 series is internal server side errors. Server side errors means if at all you are sending something to that API, and if it is not available at the server, then you are going to get 500 internal server error, 501 not implemented, and then 502 bad gateway, and 503 service unavailable. Like that, you will be getting all these kind of messages. But very important thing, you must know the series, which series works for what. So those things also we will discuss in our subsequent videos.